Have you ever wondered if our loved ones can feel our grief when we cry for them? This question haunts anyone who has lost someone dear. Join me as we explore the profound connection between our sorrow and the souls who have moved beyond, revealing insights from spiritual traditions and visionaries. Before we begin, if you find comfort in messages like this, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe for more weekly explorations into the mysteries of the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice not only supports this channel, but it may also offer healing to someone else walking the same path of loss. Death ends a life, not a relationship. These words carry a truth deeper than philosophy. They point to a reality that Edgar Cayce and countless spiritual traditions have echoed for centuries. Love itself is indestructible. When the physical body falls away from us, what remains is not emptiness. It is the enduring bond that once connected two souls. Think of love as an invisible thread. You cannot always see it, but you can feel its pull. Even after someone has crossed into the unseen world, that thread does not fray or vanish. Instead, it stretches across dimensions, quietly binding your heart to theirs. Cayce described this connection as more than memory. It is an active, living current of energy. Imagine electricity flowing through a lamp. When the bulb burns out, the light disappears, but the current remains. In the same way, when a loved one leaves the physical body, the light of their earthly presence may dim, but the current of love continues to hum beneath the surface. That current can never be destroyed, because love belongs to the soul, not the flesh. This is why, even in moments of grief, you sometimes feel an inexplicable warmth, a sudden sense of presence, or a memory that rises without warning. These are not accidents. They are the subtle signs of love persisting, proof that the relationship has not ended, but has simply shifted into another form. So, as you think of your own loved ones who have passed, remember the love you once shared has not dissolved. It is still here, still alive, still reaching toward you. Grief may try to convince you that everything is lost, but in truth, nothing rooted in genuine love can ever truly disappear. That awareness changes how we hold our sorrow. Instead of feeling broken or abandoned, we begin to see our tears and memories as threads weaving us into a tapestry that stretches across both worlds. The person you love has not vanished. They walk with you, invisibly, in ways your heart still knows how to recognize. And if this truth resonates with you, I invite you to honor it right now. Comment below with the name of someone you still hold close in spirit. Let this space become a circle of remembrance, where love itself speaks louder than loss. Because love, in its purest form, is eternal, and no distance, not even death, can break its bond. What if every tear you shed was not wasted, but a message carried beyond the veil? Think about that for a moment. We often view tears as signs of weakness, as the overflow of emotions we cannot contain. But spiritual wisdom, including the insights of Edgar Cayce, invites us to see them differently. Every tear you release is more than salt and water. It is energy. It carries the vibration of your love, your longing, and your remembrance. When those tears fall, they do not simply vanish. They ripple outward, like waves across a still pond, reaching into the unseen realms. In the physical world, we recognize communication through words, gestures, and actions. But the soul does not speak this language. Beyond the body, souls perceive through vibration, through the subtle resonance of intention and emotion. That means when you cry for someone who has passed, you are not only expressing grief inside yourself, you are sending out a signal, a frequency your loved one can perceive. Each tear becomes like a note in a symphony, a piece of music that plays in the heart of the one you miss. Cayce described this truth again and again in his readings. The departed are not blind to us. They are not locked away in silence. Instead, they sense the invisible currents we release. Tears, in this sense, are among the most powerful. They are vessels of truth, stripped of pretense, carrying the raw signature of love. To the soul that has crossed over, they are recognizable and real. Imagine your grief forming a bridge of light, each drop of sorrow adding another step across the gulf between life and death. And here is the profound shift. Tears are not weakness. They are not wasted. They are an offering, a language of the heart that continues to connect you to those you love. The next time grief overtakes you, allow it. Do not hold back. Know that your tears are part of a dialogue silent, invisible, but deeply meaningful. So I invite you, when you cry for someone you love, to reframe the moment. Instead of thinking, "I am broken," remember, I am sending love across worlds. Your tears are not the end of connection. They are the bridge. But not all grief carries the same energy. This is something spiritual teachers, including Edgar Cayce, emphasized again and again. Grief is natural. It rises in all of us when we lose someone we love. But the quality of that grief matters because it shapes how our energy reaches across to the souls who have departed. When grief is rooted in love and gratitude, it becomes light. It carries the warmth of shared memories, the sweetness of affection, the quiet strength of appreciation for the time you had together. This kind of grief is like wind filling the sails of a ship. It helps the soul you love move forward, lifting them gently on their journey. Your tears, in this light form, are uplifting currents. They whisper, "I remember you, I love you, and I release you with peace." But grief also has a shadow. When it is tangled with desperation, guilt, or clinging attachment, its energy becomes heavy. Instead of wind, it becomes chains. Instead of helping a soul rise, it can act like an anchor, pulling them back toward unresolved struggles they no longer need to carry. Spiritual traditions often warn of this weight, describing it as invisible cords that tether the departed to the unfinished pain of the living. It is not punishment, but resonance energy seeks energy. When we cling too tightly, our sorrow can become a storm that blurs their path forward. This is why the transformation of grief matters so deeply. Mourning is not about denying your emotions or suppressing your tears. It is about allowing them to shift from chains into wings, to recognize when sorrow is locking you into despair, and to slowly guide it back toward love, remembrance, and peace. In doing so, you protect not only your own heart, but also support the soul you love in continuing their journey with freedom. So if you've ever felt your tears pulling someone back, transform them. Let them become winds of love that lift instead of chains that bind. Every moment of grief can be reshaped into a current of light, one that honors both your healing and their evolution beyond this life. Spiritual teachers often describe grief as a dialogue silent, yet profoundly real. When we cry for someone we have lost, it may feel like an isolated storm inside our own hearts. But beneath the surface, something mysterious is happening. Imagine a tuning fork struck in one room, and in another room, far away, a second tuning fork of the same pitch begins to vibrate in sympathy. That is how grief works across dimensions. Every tear you shed carries a vibration, and when it resonates, the soul of your loved one can feel it. They do not perceive your tears with eyes or ears as we know them. They recognize the energy signature, the rhythm of your love woven into the grief. This is why so many people report moments that feel like signs after a wave of sorrow. The sudden sense of a presence in the room, a dream so vivid it feels like more than imagination, the faint scent of a perfume or cologne once familiar, or even the gentle impression of a touch across the shoulder. These are not random coincidences. They are responses, the subtle acknowledgements from those who have crossed over that they have felt the resonance of your tears. Think of grief not only as pain, but as a signal that can reach across the veil and awaken recognition in the heart of the departed. Your tears create what might be called a tear bridge, a luminous span of energy across which connection flows both ways. It is not fantasy, it is the natural language of the soul. In the stillness beyond the body, vibration is clearer than words, and emotion speaks more loudly than sound. So the next time you feel a presence after you've cried, do not dismiss it as imagination. Trust it. Believe that your love was heard. That subtle moment was the bridge doing its work, carrying your sorrow as a message and returning comfort as a reply. We are not powerless in the face of loss. When grief comes, it often feels overwhelming, like a storm we can only endure. But spiritual wisdom reminds us that sorrow can be transformed, guided, and even elevated into something sacred. Mourning doesn't have to remain an unshaped torrent of pain. It can become a practice, a ritual, a conscious way of turning love into a bridge that nourishes both the living and the departed. Imagine creating a quiet space in your home, a candle glowing softly, a piece of music that holds meaning, or simply a few minutes of silence where you invite your heart to open. In that sacred atmosphere, let your tears come without resistance. Do not see them as weakness, but as offerings. Each drop is a prayer, each sob a message of remembrance. When the tears subside, take a pen and write. Capture the feelings, the memories, the impressions that surface. Often, in those tender minutes, the boundary between worlds feels thin, and the act of journaling anchors what might otherwise slip away. Over time, this practice reshapes grief itself. Instead of being swallowed by sorrow, you learn to honor it, to direct it, to let it flow in a way that uplifts rather than weighs down. This is the path of transforming mourning into remembrance, moving from raw ache into peaceful acknowledgement, from clinging to releasing with gratitude. And when you choose to approach grief this way, you are not only healing your own heart, you are also sending currents of love that support the soul you miss in their journey beyond. So try this tonight. Light a candle, allow your tears, write your heart into words, and see how your sorrow shifts into a sacred act of remembrance. Grief is not a single moment. It is a journey. In the beginning, it comes raw and heavy, like a storm that knocks the breath from your chest. The first stage is often unbearable waves of pain, tears that fall without warning, nights that feel endless. But this intensity, as crushing as it seems, is the natural language of love calling out in shock. Over time, something begins to shift. The sharp edges of grief soften, and sorrow starts to carry a different weight. The storm gives way to quieter rains. Instead of being pulled into despair with every memory, you begin to hold those memories more gently, almost like treasures. This is the second stage grief as peaceful remembrance. It no longer crushes, it reminds. It no longer chains, it comforts. And as months or years pass, grief matures even further. It transforms into an ongoing connection, stable and enduring, less dependent on raw emotion and more rooted in the timeless presence of love. At this stage, you may not cry as often, yet you still feel their nearness, not through pain, but through quiet awareness. You notice them in small synchronicities, in the comfort of dreams, or in the way your heart still knows how to speak their name. This journey does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean abandoning your love. On the contrary, it means that love has taken on a new form, subtle, steady, eternal. So allow your grief to evolve. Do not fear its transformation. What begins as sorrow will ripen into a love that never fades. A love that continues to walk with you across every season of your life. Nothing rooted in genuine love is ever truly lost. That is the truth I want to leave with you. Every tear you've shed, every moment of sorrow you've endured, has not been wasted. Tears are not just pain, they are messages. Grief is not just emptiness, it is a bridge. And love, above all, is the eternal thread that continues to bind you to those who have passed beyond the veil. The storm of mourning may change shape over time, but what lies beneath it, the bond of affection, the current of love, remains untouched, unbroken, and everlasting. Your loved ones do not see your grief as weakness. They feel it as proof of the connection that death cannot sever. Each cry, each prayer, each memory becomes part of an invisible dialogue between your heart and theirs. So let us carry this awareness forward. Let us see grief not as the end of connection, but as its transformation. And if this message touched your heart today, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to join our weekly journey into the mysteries of the soul, and share your own story in the comments. Tell us about a moment when you felt the presence of someone you love who has passed. Your story may bring healing to another soul who is struggling right now. Together, we create a circle of remembrance, a community where love speaks louder than loss. Because in the end, love never dies, it only changes form, and it continues to walk with us forever.